All right, diving in today, Zen Buddhism. And we're going deep with, well, Zen Buddhism, a deep dive into its philosophy and practice. I gotta say, even before we got started, just the idea of like experiencing enlightenment instead of getting lost in books, that really hooked me.
Yeah, you kind of hit on what makes Zen so unique. It's not about piling on layers of dogma or getting stuck in intellectual debates. Zen's about cutting through all that to the core, the raw experience.
So let's talk more action, more feeling it out.
Exactly. It's a learn by doing approach, you could say. A hands-on approach to something we often think of as totally theoretical.
All right, so how do we do Zen then? This text kept bringing up Zazen, which is,
The Zazen, yeah, it's absolutely central to Zen. We usually translate it as seated meditation, but honestly, that doesn't quite capture it. Zazen is about cultivating a deep, deep stillness, being super aware of your thoughts and feelings, but without getting swept away by them.
so not like emptying your mind completely.
Not really, no. It's more about just observing, Like there are thoughts, there are feelings, but we don't judge them, we don't cling to them, just being present with whatever comes up.
That's interesting. I've messed around with guided meditation and mindfulness apps and stuff, but that always felt like, okay, there's a goal. I'm trying to relax or focus better, something like that. Is Zazen more about just being?
You got it. It was about stripping away that goal-oriented stuff, the striving we're so used to in the rest of our lives. Zazen isn't about reaching some special state of mind. It's about pure awareness, whatever's happening right now, in this moment.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it. But then how does that fit with Zen being all about spontaneity? Seems kind of contradictory, right? Discipline, meditation, and then boom, spontaneity.
Haha. Yeah, that's the Zen paradox for you. Think of it this way. True spontaneity. It can happen if your mind's all jammed up with rigid thoughts and expectations and all that.
Oh, I see. So Zazen kind of clears the way.
Exactly. It creates the space for spontaneity to just happen. It's like if you imagine a swordsman, a master, right? They spend hours honing their blade. The sharper the blade, the more effortless, the more spontaneous their movements become.
Okay, that analogy really makes it click. So it's about setting up the conditions for spontaneity to just flow naturally.
Right.
Now, speaking of mental clutter, we got to talk about koans. I got to be honest, those really threw me for a loop.
Yeah, koans are Zen's way of shaking things up in your mind. They're these riddles, these statements that are total paradoxes, like the classic, what's the sound of one hand clapping? You can't solve them with logic?
So not about finding the right answer then.
Nope. It's the journey, the mental wrestling that matters. Koans force you to break out of your usual way of thinking and push you towards a more intuitive, direct grasp of reality.
Like a brain workout, but with philosophy. You might not solve the puzzle, but your thinking gets reshaped in the process.
Exactly. And sometimes in that struggle, you get this sudden burst of insight, what Zen calls satori.
That's Satori.
Hmm.
That's enlightenment, right. But the text said it's sudden, like a flash. Doesn't it usually unfold gradually in other Buddhist traditions? And how do you even know when you've hit Satori? Is there like a Satori checklist or something?
Oh man, if only it were that easy. Satori. It's notoriously hard to pin down. It's not something you can measure or tick off a list. It's experiential. You feel it, a complete shift in your being and how you see the world.
So it's less about thinking your way to enlightenment and more about, I don't know, embodying it, living it. And this kind of ties into what the text said about how Zen sees everyday life, like even washing dishes, as a chance for spiritual practice.
Absolutely. Zen doesn't draw a hard line between formal meditation and just living your life. It's all about bringing that same awareness, that same presence to everything, finding the sacred in the ordinary.
That's a powerful thought. Like doing dishes can be a kind of meditation. That makes Zen feel so much more accessible, not just for monks in a monastery. It's about integrating it into everyday life, which actually reminds me of how much Zen has influenced art and culture, especially in Japan. You think about Zen gardens, calligraphy, tea ceremony, even martial arts. It's all about this mindfulness and simplicity.
You're right. Zen's influence has gone way beyond the monastery walls. It's shaped how people create, how they interact, even how they think. It's proof of how strong those core principles really are.
So where are we now? We've explored a tradition that puts direct experience above all else. A tradition that loves paradoxes, sees them as paths to deeper understanding. A tradition where enlightenment isn't this far-off goal, but a sudden awakening that can happen anytime. It's finding stillness in Zazen, yeah. But then expressing that stillness through action, through living. That's been an incredibly rich, thought-provoking journey.
Definitely. And maybe the most important thing we can take away from this is this. Zen is an invitation. It's an invitation to turn inward, to become truly aware of your own mind, your own body. And in that awareness, to discover a deep peace and clarity that's already there inside you. It's not about searching for answers in books or dogma. It's about realizing the wisdom that's already within each of us.
Man, that's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Zen Buddhism. Hopefully this sparks your own exploration, your own journey of discovery.